I'm with Gorgeous Doll. I'm
Yes,
so
we are.
excited to be here. So, one of the questions that I wanted to kind of start this with, because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about who you are, where you've come from, and how you've gotten to this place.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, what is your name? How did you
Okay.
come up with Gorgeous Doll?
So my name is Courtney. I came up with Gorgeous Doll. Funny story. Um, I was coming back and forth to Atlanta. I went to this club called Follies. And when I went there, I wanted to be gorgeous. When you go to any club, they ask you, what's your dance name? And this was my first time ever being asked about a dance name. So I was like, Italian Doll. And they were the like house mom. She was like, that's not cute. Mind you, Italian Doll was my name all through high school, everything. So I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, how about Gorgeous? And then she was like, well, we have someone named Gorgeous or Gorgeous Barbie or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, how about Gorgeous Doll? And she was like, I can give you that one. And that was the start of Gorgeous Doll. I just never thought that it would go where it is. So Courtney to Gorgeous Doll, pretty much.
Amazing.
Follies.
Follies changed it all.
Follies changed it all.
Now, what would you describe as a gorgeous doll? Because now you've started it where a lot of girls also want to be gorgeous dolls.
Yes, I've seen so many girls. Like, someone said I look like you today and tagging me in text. And I'm like, okay, period. Like, it's starting to become a compliment. I love that.
Yes.
I would say that a gorgeous doll, if we were just talking about on the surface, right? On the surface, of course, a gorgeous doll, somebody who's pretty, attractive. I feel like everyone has their own versions of pretty, their own versions of gorgeous, you know?
Right.
But for me, I feel like what makes me gorgeous or pretty is more about what I have inside. And when I say what I have inside is I have a kick-ass personality, you know? I don't take no shit. I stand for everything myself. And I'm just a strong, like, headstrong individual. Does that make sense? So I wouldn't even put Gorgeous Doll as a type of pretty or a type of beautiful. I would put it more towards, like, if someone was to say, like, I'm about to add Gorgeous Doll on your ass or something like that, I would want that to be like, I'm about to clear shit. I'm about to make you understand where you fucked up at. I wouldn't want it to just be, oh, like, you know, you act like Gorgeous Doll. Then I would want somebody to think like, yeah, I act like that bitch. You know not to play with me, pretty much. But I wouldn't just put it to a pretty or a beautiful type of thing, if that makes sense, you know?
Okay. Now, where are you from? Because your origin story, I know you moved to Atlanta and then now you're in Miami, but where did you originate?
Yes. So I was born in Ohio, okay? Born in Ohio. Small town named Xenia, Ohio. I was born at Green Memorial Hospital, okay? Now, my mom, she had got remarried, but before that, my aunt had got remarried. Or married for the first time, actually. So my mom's one of three sisters, just like I'm one of three sisters. I'm the middle child. And so when my older aunt decided to move to Tennessee, my mom ended up following her. And I kind of went back and forth between my mom and my dad. And here's where it gets a little tricky because I'm kind of like not an army brat, but I've been a little bit of everywhere, in my opinion. So my dad, who was originally born in Ohio as well, he traveled a lot, you know? And I know there's this video going around when I was on this TV show where, you know, production had asked me, and introduce your origin story. Introduce yourself to the girls because they knew I had a great story.
Right.
So their question was, so where are you from? And of course, I took that as, okay, let me say where I'm from and then ease into what I'm known from, you know? So for me, when people ask me where I'm from, I just say all over. But I was born in Ohio, raised between Tennessee, Ohio, a little bit up north in New York, not too much. And then as my adult life, most of my adult life was in Atlanta. You know, I had moved to Atlanta back in 2018. And from there, all of my 20s now at this point, I got a couple years left, have been in Atlanta. And so I would say my adult life is from Atlanta, and I would say my childhood life is between Ohio, Tennessee, New York, and now, you know, my dad's in Florida. So I was a kid in Florida too. So it's a lot, but it's like I was never just one place. But I can see that there's a misconception. There's a lot of people in Tennessee mad at me because they think they know me and y'all don't. But it's okay. I'm going to correct y'all. I'm not from Tennessee. Okay.
Right.
I had just moved there and had stayed there a little bit with my mom and then went back and forth. There's nothing wrong with Tennessee. I love it. It's a great place. It's just that, you know, when you have a lot of outside opinions trying to tell you where you're from, you got to clock that shit and let them know. You thought I was from Tennessee, but that shows how much you don't know and you want to pull an opinion out of your asshole. But anyways, a little bit of everywhere. Moral of the story.
Now, how did you go from being between Tennessee and Ohio to moving to Atlanta, like you said, in 2018? Did you go with a friend, or was it just a decision you made on your own?
So I originally had been going through a breakup. I had like a whole ex-fiance situation. I had met this man at church. Okay.
It do start at church sometimes.
I met him at church and thought, oh, God sent me one. God sent me one. God sent the devil. So he wasn't God sent.
He wasn't your husband.
He wasn't my husband. But, you know, I was blinded by that because mom's a pastor, aunt's a pastor, family of pastors, church Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, doing all the church functions. I had really kind of tricked myself into believing this is my last, like this is about to be my life, you know? And during that relationship, he had got caught cheating.
Wow.
Don't they all? He had got caught cheating. And when he got caught cheating, I was just kind of disgusted with myself because I had gained more weight dealing with him, you know? And I had met him probably a year after my high school sweetheart went to jail, Braylon, and got the 40 years and that whole situation. So I was wanting love.
Right.
I just kind of, I think, like I said, tricked myself into thinking, oh, this is my next, you know? When in reality, I should have took more time to myself, I think. But ended up meeting up with him, the ex-fiance, and everything was great at first. Caught him cheating. When I caught him cheating, I had really had a self-reflect moment, you know?
Right.
He had degraded me a lot. And when I say degraded me a lot, I mean talked down on me a lot. There was a situation that happened when he lost his job at this big manufacturer company, right? And I think he was kind of mad at me because he had got like a settlement for like $16,000 from insurance, and I spent it all in one summer. But
Not too much on you.
not too much on me, okay? He was spending it. I was just helping him, okay? But when we had kind of blew through that money, he, of course, was working his regular job, which was a great job at a manufacturer company. He was doing good. And when he lost that job, it's like how he would talk to me and how he would speak to me. It was like, it was degrading. And it made me take a second, look at myself and be like,
Wow.
you're not about to, who the fuck is you talking to? Like, I'm that bitch, not that bitch. You get what I'm saying? And that's where I had kind of made it up in my mind, this is not my life. This is not where I'm meant to be or the life I'm meant to live, especially because we were looking at houses together. We had a realtor. We were talking about putting money in escrow. Like, it was something where I really thought that I was going to sit down, have some more kids, and be happy. But then I realized, who the fuck are you talking to, you know, with certain situations? So with that, it had put me to a point of, you know what, I'm done with this situation. Let me get back to me, you know? And at this point, because he was a bigger guy and I feel like I maybe was at like 180, 190, but I was building weight because all we did was fucking eat together. We would go to church. All the church would go to the restaurant afterwards every single time.
Wow.
And it's like we would just eat out a lot. He loved to eat. I loved to eat. So we ate together. And I looked up. It ended up being like 250 in a matter of time like this. So when I had caught him cheating on me, I pretty much was like, it's over, it's done with, fuck you, I'm good. And I had went and applied to this weight loss clinic in Tennessee. At this point, I was living in Tennessee. I was there with y'all, okay? So when I went to this weight loss clinic, they pretty much had told me, like, this is how it works. We need you, we're going to put you on a regimen. We're going to tell you what to eat. We're going to tell you what to do. And from there, you have to show us something. You have to show us that it was to the point where, what's that shot that they were giving, helping people lose weight? Was it Phentermine or...
Well, I know people are doing the Ozempic now.
No, this was before Ozempic. It was something with a pH, but they wouldn't give it to me.
Why?
They were like, you have to lose weight on your own. I wasted them people's time for 6 months. Okay,
Really?
in 6 months, I lost 0.5.
Why was it taking so long for you to lose the weight?
I had not only been going through this breakup, but I'm very determined. So I went right back to school. Okay. I waited my 6 weeks up with Prince. I was already back in school. So when I met him, I was still in school, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, between school, between being a new mom, between my
Right.
high school sweetheart being locked up for 40 years, around this time it was detrimental because he got sentenced.
Right.
So when he got sentenced, it hurt me even more. And I answered a lot of my problems with food.
Mm-hmm.
And, going to school, sitting down all day and then going home, taking care of a kid, eating,
Mm-hmm.
it just all added up. So at this point was where I was like, you know what? I can't do it on my own.
Right.
Joined this weight loss clinic, wasted their time. And then it became a point where I befriended a girl who they know as Emily.
Okay.
When I
Emily.
befriended Emily, Emily was a gym rat, just body perfect, body T.
Okay.
Okay. Like everybody had looked up to her as like she should have been a trainer. She
Mm-hmm.
should have just been a trainer. And so when I had met her and we started getting jobs together in certain places, I
Mm-hmm.
pretty much was like, I want to lose weight. I don't want to be the fat friend. I didn't mind because I was the fat friend that had a bunch of bad bitches around me and I
Mm-hmm.
would encourage them to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you know, I knew that that wasn't me. I knew that that wasn't my path, you know?
Well, and you just weren't comfortable in your own body because I think that people come in different sizes, and some
Mm-hmm.
people, they like the size that they are because
Mm-hmm.
they feel comfortable, they feel beautiful. But if you don't, then it's time for you to
And that's
change it.
and that's a misconception because in high school I looked like this.
Mm-hmm.
After having Prince, the postpartum depression, Braylon getting, picked up for a murder charge
Mm-hmm.
was like the nail in the coffin for me. And in 1 year I gained 100 pounds. Literally, just had a baby. Braylon went to jail when Prince was 3 months old. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just so many emotions and I couldn't control them
Mm-hmm.
without, eating, drinking tequila, Taco Tuesdays out with the
Mm-hmm.
girls. Like
Trying to
I
cope.
I let myself go really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, like I said, when I met Emily and we started working at the same jobs, hanging out together, I
Mm-hmm.
started working at this bar. I got a job as a server and she was a server as well. And I was running circles around them bitches,
Oh,
okay? At an early time as a big girl,
let them
okay?
know.
Anybody could do it. But
Period.
um, I pretty much had decided, like, I want to go to Atlanta.
Mm.
I would see, all these girls on Instagram, on Facebook, and living this life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's what my life was supposed to be like if I didn't have a damn baby, if I didn't, pause my life and fall into that depression.
Right.
But I pretty much had told her, like, let's go to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And in my story time that I did on my page, I had let people know that she had her own situation going on too. So with
Okay.
her, she joined and was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go to Atlanta. And
Right.
I was like, okay. So we got in a car. I put all
Mm-hmm.
of my stuff in my apartment in storage. Okay.
Really?
Everything. And she ended her lease as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what we started doing is we were able to still keep our apartments until like the end of the lease. So we would
Okay.
go back and forth. I think it was for that first month. We would just
Okay.
drive back and forth. And it
Mm-hmm.
started with us joining these dating apps.
Oh God, do you want to say what app it was? You don't have to.
It was Tinder.
Tinder? Maybe this is the time to sponsor. I don't know.
It was Tinder. We got on Tinder, and this is gonna
Mm-hmm.
be in my book as well, but more in depth because we went through some shit. But when we got to Atlanta, we
Right.
didn't know how to meet anybody, so we would, go out and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
she had her own situation going on,
Right.
whatever. And Tinder was where she had started meeting men first, and then would tell me about it, and then I got on it.
Okay.
So with Emily, she had met this DJ
Mm-hmm.
on Tinder and she was like, I met this DJ. He said he can get us jobs at this nightclub, right?
Okay. And this is in 2018 when you're first coming to Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay.
And so for me, I was like, okay, what club? He was like, she said he DJs at Diamond Club and told us to come tonight at 10 o'clock. They're going to hire us.
Wow.
So me, I was, going through a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I was so determined to make it. So for me, I was taking any opportunity that was thrown out because when I first got to Atlanta, I got a job at Longhorn.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember all the motherfucking steaks. I couldn't remember the stakes. Like, I just couldn't because there's so many of them. And it made me really realize that they are dedicated to their motherfucking steaks.
Yes. Tip your servers.
Yes. Tip your servers. Because I never made over $60 a night at Longhorn.
Really?
And I was there maybe like a month. And then when this situation and this opportunity came up, I was like, I can't do this $60 damn day shit no more. It's not worth it. You know, I'm driving over to Camp Creek, living in Dunwoody. It was a lot. But when I first came to Atlanta, me and Emily had separated a little bit, but we came back because of this job. So got hired. I had no idea about strip clubs.
Really? Now, were you hired as a waitress or were you hired to be on the floor?
I was hired to be a waitress.
Okay.
And Emily was hired as a bartender.
Okay.
And when I first started here, I was lost. When I say I was lost, I was really lost in the sauce. I did not know what the fuck I was doing. But I learned. I learned quickly. Sell sections, sell bottles. If the club is dead, sell as many drinks as I can. Build my tab, you know, because I realized that how you keep these jobs in nightlife, you show your boss that you're valuable. You don't always have to sell bottles, but if you're bringing a $2,000 tab at the night of I sold $2,000 worth of drinks, that outdoes the $200 and $250 bottles, you know?
Right.
So for me, it became easy. And it got to a point where, you know, customers were coming in and throwing money on me.
But you were a waitress. You weren't working on the floor.
But I was a waitress, and that pissed the dancers off. But at this point, I still hadn't had my body done. I knew how to hide my mommy pouch. I knew how to hide certain insecurities about myself. But my personality was always fire, you know, always fire. You know, when that fight had happened at Diamonds is when they pretty much had told me, like, you need to be a dancer. Like, you don't need to be a waitress no more. We don't have a position for you to be a waitress. You need to be a dancer. And I said, well, I'm not motherfucking dancing here.
And that's how you ended up at Allure, which is how you got your name. Now, going from Allure, how do you end up at Magic, which I know you're suing them in federal court now because of other things that they've done. But how did you get there?
So I was at Allure, and at Allure, I was making money. I was doing good. But Allure's location, there's a residential neighborhood behind them. Okay, of a bunch of very hoity-toity, Karen, stuck-up types, okay? So they didn't like the loud music. You know, there would be situations that would happen outside of the club. They were reporting them all the time.
Really?
So they were getting fines. They were getting bullied by the damn neighborhood residents. You know, they really were. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand a point of it because if I place myself in somebody who lived next door to a club and I got kids that's trying to go to sleep and then I hear, you know, maybe gunshots or some crazy shit, you know, of course they're going to make these reports. So for me, there had become a point where I don't know the full story, but I do know that Allure did get shut down for a minute.
Okay.
Right? And when they got shut down, you know, a lot of people didn't really know what to do. And Magic wasn't just hiring anybody. So you had to hurry up and get your ass over there before it became too many girls.
Really? Okay.
So with me, I didn't have to audition at Magic. Like, they had already knew who I was. His sons did.
Because of Allure.
Exactly. Because one thing about it, I had at this point built a brand. When I was at Allure, I was popping it. I was talking my shit, popping it. I would walk in there like I'm the hottest thing out. You cannot tell me shit. And that brought me more of a brand and a following in my name. You know, it really helped my name be established, you know, because before Allure, I can't really say that, you know, anybody called me Gorgeous Doll. You know, they would call me Courtney. But also, I didn't know the difference between using my nightlife name and my real name.
And your real name.
You know, and so now that my nightlife name has become my brand, unless you're my family, call me Gorgeous Doll.
Okay, so going backwards, because we've covered Magic City, we've covered who you are, we've covered what a Gorgeous Doll is, how you got your name, we've also covered how you went from Ohio, Tennessee to Atlanta. Now, the big question that everybody also really wants to know, and you don't have to disclose it all today, how at Magic City did you meet Pluto Future?
I didn't meet him at Magic City. The past.
We can refer to him as the past.
Definitely the past. I didn't meet Grandpa at Magic City.
Really?
Yeah, I met him at Allure, and he came to pursue me.
Really?
I was at home on a Friday night because I had enough money to take Fridays off. But anyways, period. I was at home, and there was a DJ that worked there, and he said, somebody's up here looking for you. you know? And anytime a celebrity comes in a club, they'll post them like on the story or whatever. So I go look at the story and I see he was there. So then I message the DJ back like, who is it? Because I'm like, it ain't this nigga. Like, who's looking for me and what the fuck they want? And he sends me a picture and it's of Pluto and he's like, yeah, Pluto here. And I said, well, tell him I'll be at work tomorrow, you know, because I was like, let me chill, bitch. Cause
don't be too excited.
Right, because another bitch would have got dressed and ran to the motherfucking club. But me, I was like, tell him I'll be there tomorrow, and I'll see him then. I got to work at about 10 o'clock, put my shoes on. As soon as I got on that floor, he walked in.
Really?
I wasn't even at work for 30 minutes.
Wow.
I don't know if somebody texted him and said, she here, or what, but... He came in. I remember I had on a green little Givenchy two-piece. It was like woven on the top, said Givenchy on the top. I had my clear light up.
Oh, they were the light up heels.
I was a baby stripper. Like, I had my little light up heels on, and I walked up. I had my hair in 2 ponytails. Like, y'all, I was so young, but I thought I was doing my shit. This is how young I was. I had on red lipstick with a lime green outfit.
Really? So what age were you by this point? Or what year was this?
I want to say this was 2019 going into 2020 because it was before really bad pandemic.
Okay, so this was before the pandemic hit. Okay.
This was before then. I wasn't dancing for long at this point. If I need to get the dates, I can go to my Snapchat because they keep everything. But... I make videos of everything. I should have been a vlogger.
Yeah.
Because I had every video at every situation. I probably got a video from that night.
So you come in, you know, you're at the club, he shows up. How do you start conversing? Or it's just like, hey, you know, do you want to dance me?
I walk up and I was like, I heard you was looking for me.
Bitch, here I go. I heard you bitches was looking for me.
I heard you was looking for me. And he was like, yeah. And so then he was like, you know, like, what's your name or whatever? And I was like, I'm Gorgeous Doll. He was like, yeah, you can call me Pluto. So me, I was like, okay. And like his family and friends call him Pluto. Like people, like fans call him Future, right? I call him Nevadius Demon.
Ooh.
Okay? Because like, first of all, one thing is that you have to learn how to separate these men, but understand they're still normal people.
But at this point, you had been dancing, so you were familiar with celebrities, so it's not like you were easily impressed.
Exactly. I was already familiar with celebrities. I had already been exposed to money.
Into the lifestyle that came with it.
Yeah, because I had my own lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? My first real apartment by myself was $4,000 in rent at the Atlantic in Midtown.
Wow.
Looking over the city with a city view, okay? It was a picture that went viral with me sitting. I had $400,000 in cash sitting on the couch in my apartment, turned the fuck up. Like, I had already built myself. I'd already built this Gorgeous Doll lifestyle of, you know, I get whatever the fuck I want.
So you were already that girl by the time you met him. Now,
exactly. That's probably why I was on his radar.
A question for you, because I know the fans are going to want to know, were you nervous because of the reputation that he had about getting to know him?
Back down, since we're off them. Was I nervous? I would say I was a little nervous in the beginning, but our time together wasn't extra. It was normal, you know?
Really?
Like, he would say to me the most normal part of him being with me is when we have our car rides together. No driver, no security.
Really?
Me and him just in the car, driving through the city, you know, watching the sun go down, you know, because he lives...
Well, you don't have to say that part.
Anyways, he lives outside the city in Atlanta. So it's like anytime we would go to his house and we would have these long talks and stuff, it didn't feel like dating a celebrity.
It just felt like dating a normal guy. Y'all are just talking, getting to know each other, getting along. Because I think a lot of people have a misconception about what dating him is like, which is why I've seen some allegations about, you know, what you do or what you could have been doing. Yes. And I feel like that comes from people not understanding this was a relationship.
It was. My thing about it is that, like, I had this man doing normal shit. I wake up hungry. We would be in a Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Okay? Like... I had made it normal because, like, it's like I was still living a normal lifestyle. And it's like you got to really figure out how to, when you're dating these people, make it normal, you know? So, like, my normal day when me and him were dealing together would be, you know, wake up, hey, boo, what you doing, whatever. You know, he'd be like, oh, he's very late, like a night owl. So when I'm waking up at 9, 10 in the morning, he's leaving the studio to go back home or whatever. So I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to pick you up. You want to come to the house, whatever. And, like, I don't know what it is with my sleep. I don't know. I make people have the best sleep of their life.
Really? He's relaxed. He feels comfortable with you.
And so, like, we would literally, like, he would sleep so long and get, like, he would feel so refreshed. That was something he would always tell me is, like, when I lay next to you, when I wake up, I feel so refreshed. Like, I just feel like I'm actually getting sleep, And for me, I do the same thing. I do this thing when I go to sleep. I suck my thumb and play with people's ears, okay? And he loved that.
My God.
I guess, like, he ain't never experienced that. So every time we go to sleep, I would play with his ears, and he would fall right asleep like a damn baby. But it's like, I feel like a lot of people do have it misconstrued. It could have been the way that I came out about it.
Well, and I think sometimes when we talk about women dating the past, it's always just show an AP, show a bag, and then that's it. So they might see, 3 APs in a presidential, but they're not seeing y'all in a Chick-fil-A line, y'all, in the kitchen making spaghetti while girlfriends is on the TV, y'all watching the Fast and the Furious at, 9 o'clock on a Friday and, with a blanket on. Like, they don't see the relationship. It's just kind of like, oh, he was tricking, da, da, da. So then they assume that you might have done something to get this, to get these things when you're just dating.
And that's the thing, is in the beginning of our relationship, we were genuinely dating. Now, when I started to meet the real him, that real down low, like, dirty dog.
And what do you mean by dirty dog?
Like the Christmas party situation. That was kind of the first time where I ever looked at him different, like.
Well, what happened at the Christmas party?
So pretty much he invited me and my family, me, my son, my sister, and I brought one of my friends, right? He was like, I'm having a free band's Christmas party with my family. They're going to be there, whatever. I'm in my head like, I'm meeting your mama. I'm meeting your family. Like, okay, shit.
Were you close with your parents by this point?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was like, I called my mom, I'm like, Mom, like, she's like, yeah, whatever. At this point, my mom didn't live in Atlanta. She has still been in Tennessee. So, my sister was in town, and of course, I'm bringing my son.
Right.
So when I go there, it was no other baby mamas.
Oh.
None. All the kids. Well, not all the kids, but
a lot of them.
Right. There were kids there. His mom was there, brothers, cousins, uncles, whatever. And I'm chilling, whatever. Hey, babe, where you at? Oh, I'm about to pull up. Okay, cool. I'm chilling. He walks in, and this is a misconception because when I said the story, I know how it came off. He had walked in, like, the door by himself, right? And then as soon, like, he came up, hey, whatever, and he had met Prince, and he was like, hey, what up? Prince was like, Future! And I was like, my sister said, you cannot call him that. Don't say that, because we're around his family. So it's like, don't yell that out. Like, now, they know we don't belong here.
Yeah, but, he don't know, and he's excited.
Exactly.
It's normal.
And that was kind of where we were like, I asked him, what should Prince call you? He was like, Uncle Pluto. I was like, okay, cool. And I know a lot of the internet feel a way about that. But it's like, imagine, if you could put yourself in my shoes, imagine you go and you're dating the celebrity, and your kid already knows of them. So when they see them, they get excited, like, this the rapper. Hold on.
Well, and your kid's not used to just being around celebrities all day.
Exactly, because first of all, Prince ain't used to being around nobody. I don't play that shit. But it was like, I was really under the impression that I was building something
with
here.
this man. So you're at this Christmas party. He comes up to you. Your son recognizes him. What happens next?
So then he was like, I'm going to walk around, greet everybody, whatever. And then as he's turning away from me is when I saw Des walk in.
Des Dior.
Yes.
So this is around the time that he's publicly dating Des Dior. Now, was that maybe just a publicity stunt? And is it something that he told you?
I was told that it was at first. Now, let me clean that up, right? When she had came in, and I look at the jackets like, these motherfuckers wearing
they were matching
jackets.
I didn't know that.
I'm looking at my motherfucking sister like, my sister looking at me like,
oh, they go together.
I was like, oh, we about to go. Literally.
And why would he have you there? Did he forget that
listen, he's a narcissist bitch, and he likes to play a lot of mind games, okay? He likes to see how people will react and what they will do. He will do shit to have you feeling a type of way just to see how far you'll go with it.
For a reaction.
He loves a reaction.
My God.
Like, even how I was telling you the text messages I was getting, and we were like, no, I'm not going to give him the reaction, because that's what you want. You want me to get online and tweak the fuck out and give you just a little bit more attention, because what you've seen is I've removed myself completely. I'm not giving you that. But that's what he does. He's the type to do shit for a reaction at all times.
Oh, my God.
And so for me, I had to learn that. And that night, I didn't really give it a reaction. Like, that's when I had texted him, like, you really embarrassed the fuck. I probably still got the motherfucking text messages. I'm not going to lie. But I was like, you really embarrassed me in front of my sister. Like, who is this? What is this? Whatever. That picture was put on the blogs the next day of them in those matching jackets.
Wow.
Sent it to him, like, what the fuck is this? He like, man, it ain't nothing, whatever.
It's
then
just PR.
And that's when I found out, I guess she was a rapper. I never knew the girl was a rapper or anything. I didn't know who she was.
She's because she's in that group with Mariah the Scientist, with Lotto.
Exactly. So I never had known who she was and that she even had a career or anything. So when it was like, oh, they in the studio together. Oh, you know, she's making this song. I'm helping her with this song. I'm like, okay, cool. All right.
Well, but then why were they matching?
Exactly. I guess that's her thing.
Is it?
I guess that's her thing. When she date niggas, she be matching.
So he pops out with Des Dior on you for no reason, no kind of warning. Does that become a reoccurring theme in the relationship, that y'all will be doing good, y'all are having, you know, a good experience?
No, we started playing fucking cat and mouse, because I don't let nobody just play with me. So when he did that, I was like, okay, cool. And then I went and did my own motherfucking thing, because what I realized is this is not an exclusive situation. I'm not dumb. I'm not a bozo. You get what I'm saying? I, at first, was dedicating myself to someone. My time, my attention, you know, how I felt was on him. But that situation right there, it's like, all right, bitch, let me turn it up a notch. Let me show you something.
Well, but something to you as well, because I have seen other women maybe say like, oh, well, she should have known, or she should have expected it, or what did you think would happen? I think when you're getting to know someone, and like you said, it's a relationship. It's not just, you know, I see him, I dance for him sometimes, he sends me some money, I get a purse at AP and I leave. You guys are really building a relationship, and I think you really cared for him.
That's what I feel like people didn't understand. It's like, yeah, the first night I met him, it did go it went how it went. You know what I'm saying? I'm a stripper in a club. I'm going to go get, if I could go make 5 figures seeing this man once, I'm going to go do it. You know what I'm saying? But that whole week, we spent every single day together.
Well, you I'm getting from you is you really fell for him. Like, you deeply cared for him at that point. You know, as time went on, it wasn't just, well, I just go see him and dance and that's it. You cared about him.
Right. I didn't even dance. The night that I went and saw him, literally, he was working in the studio and I was like, I'm tired. He was like, yeah, I want you to come to my house with me. Like, I want to spend some more time with you. And I was like, okay, well, I can go home and get a bag or whatever. And he was like, no, I got you. He has a whole, like, separate room of just fucking clothes. All different types of designers, just everything, just pick some shit. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I got some shit to take with me. Like, okay, whatever. But how that situation had went, it was that first night I met him, okay, cool. Then we ended up getting in the car, driving to his house, hanging out. We kind of like vibed the whole day. When I was leaving his house, he handed me $2,000, another $2,000 on top of the money that he already gave me at the club, money he gave me in the studio. Now this is probably the next day where I'm about to leave. Mind you, I didn't drive to his house. So he was like, take my car. Right? Take one of my cars. And then he gave me another $2,000 and was like, go to the spa or something. And I was like, okay, cool. Mind you, I'm in this big ass truck. I'm like, okay. All right, whatever. I'm leaving. Like, yeah, this my hoe. This my nigga. Like, what? And that's exactly what I did. I went home. I ended up getting dressed. I went to the spa. And he probably would call me, I would say 3 or 4 times a day. Like, what you doing? Where you at? Like, I remember he's so fucking cheesy. I remember I was talking about, I had just got my teeth done. And he was like, yeah, I'm trying to keep your teeth beautiful. I want to see you smile. He would say cheesy ass shit like that would have me giggling my ass off. Don't get me wrong. He knows what the fuck to say. But what I noticed is that I found that switch. And I know how to
teeter it from one side to the next.
Exactly.
So not to jump too far ahead, because I don't want to give him too much light on here. But how do we go from, you know, he, of course, pops out with Des Dior and whatever, to, you know, the ending of your relationship, and then you then calling him with the video that has now been seen around the world?
We kept dealing with each other throughout the years, you know, and at this point, I think this is probably year 5, we kept dealing with each other, and, you know, when we would argue, we would fall out, get back together, fall out, get back together, and then, you know, he had moved to Miami. Right?
Really?
Yeah. So he moved to Miami first. And then, you know, the whole situation happened with Magic. And I had been receiving threats, all types of shit, whatever. And I was, you know, telling him, because he had thought that I was talking to one of his friends, right? Which I had known this friend just because he was a cool, like, you know, he was a cool, like, chill dude. But I ain't never fuck him, touch him, nothing like that. He was just real nice to me, okay? So I think he felt like somebody was playing with his food. So let me pull back up. And this last time when he pulled back up and when he sent the whole come to my birthday party invitation and whatever. And I ended up going to his birthday. So after his birthday party, I'm at home and he starts calling my phones, right? And so I'm like, what's up? He was like, come to Miami. And so I was just like, at that point, I was like, I can't come to Miami. I'm dropping Active Doll, whatever. The day, or not Active Doll, but Dollhouse. The day that I dropped Dollhouse, he knew I was doing it at 3 o'clock. He texted me and was like, congratulations on Dollhouse. Come to LA. Right? Okay. So I'm like, well, what's in LA? And he was like, well, I have to go out there or whatever. He said, but I'm going to be in Miami first. He was going back and forth. He just didn't know what the fuck he wanted to do. So I was like, well, how long do you want me to come to Miami? I was like, my lease is up in 2 months.
So this is what made you move to Miami initially?
Initially. So I was telling him my lease is up in 2 months. I have to, get all my stuff packed, find movers, whatever. I'm telling him this. I'm trying to see what's your energy.
Well, and did you want to live with him? Or did y'all live together at any
I don't want to live with no man, okay? And the reason why is because you will give them too much power to put you out.
Clock that.
Literally. I've never lived with a man. It just, and even if I had, somebody that I dealt with and I was at their house a lot, I always had my own shit. I don't trust my bags, shoes, jewelry, just with anybody. And when you live with somebody, you give them the permission to have other people around your shit.
Yes.
I don't do that. So when I had told him, when he asked me to come to Miami, and I pretty much was like, I'm working on moving, I just dropped my business, and now I have to find somewhere to move, And so originally he was like, well, let me know what you find. And I said, well, what do you think about me coming to Miami? And he was like, I don't want you to come to Miami in the world of prostitution because you're just going to get caught up with all these burnt out ass bitches. So for me, I was like, not if you act right. If you act right and I act right, there should be no problem.
Right.
There should be no problem. So he pretty much was like, well, find a place. Let me know how much the rent is. I was like, okay, cool. Found a place, whatever. But I hadn't toured this place yet or anything. I had just found it still being in Atlanta. So when he asked me to come out to Miami, I went out to Miami. And when he came to see me, the first question he asked me was, did I sleep with his friend?
Really? Even though you guys were broken up at the time, you were not dealing with each other, but he still wanted control over you as to who you were dating.
Mind you, let's backtrack. 3 months before that, I was cool with a real popular NBA player who asked me to bring some girls out. And I did that. I brought some girls out. It was 8 of them. And this one girl who was chilling with me, we was out at the club, drinking, having fun. She's showing me her phone, and it's him texting her phone while she's standing next to me.
My God.
And she's like, I don't know what the fuck y'all got going on, but I don't know how he got my number, and I don't want to be in y'all's mess. Because the world is just now finding out. Atlanta knew. Atlanta been knew. You get what I'm saying? But it's like now the world is finding out and opens up the door for more opinion, more public opinion. But yeah, he had texted her while she was standing next to me in the club. Mind you, I'm not fucking this athlete. I'm not doing it. I had brought just some girls around just for him and his friends to be able to party.
Mind you, you could have if you wanted to because you're broken up. It is your life. It's your decision. It is your body.
But yeah, when he did that, it was kind of like, you press ass bitch. You literally, I don't know who sent him a video of me being outside and who I was next to or what the conversation was, but for him to have texted my homegirl next to me while I'm out.
Just to prove a point.
Just to prove a point, right? And with that homegirl the next day, she blew my phone up. I ain't really fucking with her because I'm like, show me y'all sex messages. Show me what else you said. She was like, oh, I blocked him. I didn't say anything. I said, okay, cool. Send me a screenshot. She got her sister calling me like, y'all are good friends. I don't know why. I said, look, shut the fuck up. Send a screenshot. Get off my phone.
You think she was still texting him back?
For sure, because the week after that, she in Miami.
Okay, so this is still happening while you're in Atlanta. So you get to Miami. You're supposed to meet up with him. He's going to LA for something. What does that meeting look like when he confronts
what you gotta think is this was 3 months before I had went out to Miami to meet with him.
Okay.
And that's when he texted my homegirl next to me, trying to make it like, yeah, bitch.
Trying to be funny.
Right, trying to be funny. So when I landed in Miami and he pulled up, the first thing he asked me was, so you fucked his friend's name? And I was like, so you fucked, and I said my friend's name? He was like, man, you shouldn't be asking me shit. I said, well, you shouldn't be asking me shit.
Exactly.
I had just came back from the spa or whatever, and I had did this, when they do the body wraps or whatever, and so I wanted to take another shower. So as he's talking shit, I'm in the shower talking shit, and so then he was like, man, I'll be back later when you calm down. And he left. When I got out the shower, he was gone. I got dressed. I got my luggage. And I went to the fucking airport. I texted him a picture of my luggage, and I said, bye. Like, this ain't the same shit. This ain't, this ain't Gorgeous Doll gonna wait for the mind until, no, this ain't that.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you want a question answered, I want a motherfucking question answered. Don't ask
Right.
me shit you don't want to answer from me, you know?
Right.
So I guess he didn't really think I was going to leave, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, because he was blocked on my main phone, he called my business phone. He was like, oh, you really left? Yeah, I did. Hung up on him, right? Blocked that number too. This is when, like, we play with texting apps a lot, okay? Because it's like, I learned how to be just as toxic as him.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks because I hate that the last, 4 or 5 years of my life, I allowed myself to almost be trained to be toxic.
To match his energy.
To match that energy. And I hate that, And so for me, I came home or whatever, and I pretty much was like, I'm not dealing with the same shit. He was like, I promise I'm going to change. Mm-hmm. Like, I just was upset. I wanted to know the truth. And me, I never to this day answer that question for him because it was, I finally got your ass where you don't know. Just how I don't be knowing, you don't know. Now we're even. We both are thinking, what the fuck is going on with the other? Nobody is up a level than the other when it comes to knowing certain things,
Right.
So then it was Grammy weekend. And that's when he asked me to come out again. And so I was just like, is this going to be any different? And he was like, yes, babe, I promise it's going to be different, whatever. He just feeding me the bullshit.
What do you think made y'all keep coming back together after you would break up?
Because I would stop giving a fuck. I would really stop, I would really not, I wouldn't bother him. You get what I'm saying? Like, I might, don't get me wrong, I'm a little crazy. Like, when I want something, when I want to talk, or if I want to be heard. Like, one thing he knows about me is that if I want to be heard, he will hear me, But I really had been at that point where it was like, you're the same. You're the same person I was just dealing with. You haven't changed a bit. You haven't elevated in your maturity level in no type of way. So I feel like me getting on that plane and leaving and not sticking around until he came back later was kind of like, oh, this bitch got standards. This bitch got morals now.
She's changing.
I'm not dealing with the same young-ass girl I used to deal with, And so I think that's what caused him to want to come back again. And then he was like, come on, I need you with me out for the Grammys. Like, you're my good luck charm, whatever. And don't get me wrong, like, I care about him, I'm not even gonna say cared, because it's like my intentions aren't to hurt him. My intentions were to let him know, you got me fucked up, and you really did a lot within my life, and you've caused a lot, and I don't know if you remember it all, so let me fucking remind you, And for me, I never finished my Allure because it has something to do with my miscarriage, and it brings the situation full circle.
Now, was the miscarriage his when that happened at the time? And you don't have to answer that today.
The answer is yes, but I don't want to be specific and get into it, because
Does he know?
Yeah, he knows.
Okay.
And it all goes full circle.
Wow.
It all goes full circle.
Because that happened at Magic.
What happened in Magic? The jumping situation? No, the jumping situation happened outside of Copper Cove.
Oh.
But the day after the jumping situation, I had flown to him in New York. Literally, like, immediately, he was like, I sent you a flight, come to New York. Like, why the fuck is you even outside in Atlanta anyways? But when I moved to Miami, everything was good in the beginning. It was good. He was doing what he was supposed to do. Everything was good. And then when he started fucking up is when I started going outside. Yeah. Now I'm with this athlete and this one, but I'm not fucking them. I'm just going out having a good time posting.
Just showing you
that it's this easy for me to get dressed and go pop out. You ain't the only rich nigga. You get what I'm saying? I mean, shit, I'm a paid bitch, so fuck the rich niggas. But the moral of the story is that it's like exactly what you didn't want to happen is happening. I moved to Miami for you with the intentions of you acting like you got some fucking sense. And as soon as you act like you didn't have no sense, all mine went out the window as well.
Exactly.
And so now that I don't want you to move to Miami and be all up in all the bullshit, well, too late. Because you really played. I didn't have to move to Miami. I could have got another lease in Atlanta. I could have went to L.A. L.A. was first on my list, actually.
Really?
I didn't want to go to Miami. I wanted to go to L.A.
Really?
And that's because I want to be a content creator.
Right.
So I was like, I'll go to L.A. But then he was like, no, come to Miami. Okay, Miami's fine. Let me know when you find a place. It was like, okay, let me do this, But what I could say is that the situation that happened at the end of 2024 was my last straw. And like I said, I'm not too ready to talk about the situation yet. And I feel like it's so you know, it's
raw.
It's very raw, and it's such a touchy subject for me that I feel like it would be something that I would do on my own, you know, because I feel like it would be very emotional. I feel like I would want to be by myself, and it wouldn't really just be me talking to my audience. It would be me talking to him, to the other rapper girl, and really letting them know, like, this is too far.
And this was a traumatic experience.
And it really was. And it's like with him, he was on tour around that time, right? I knew that. Okay, that's fine. But he also had knew certain aspects to this situation that I felt like I don't want to get into it.
And you don't have to. You can always share your story when you're ready. But I just want the people to understand that this relationship took a toll on you, and I want them to humanize you, because it's not just, well, I danced for him and he sent me money and I'm doing for whatever. It was a relationship, and you gave so much of yourself to it.
And that's the thing, is like with me saying, oh, this is a relationship, I feel dumb as fuck. Don't get me wrong. The stuff that people say when they're like, oh, she should have knew, like, I beat myself up over that. Like, I should have known. I don't want to cry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh.
Yeah, y'all are right. I should have known. But it's like...
Well, but you also didn't expect to fall for him.
Right.
You were just there having fun and enjoying yourself. And as time went on, you developed feelings, and you were invested, and you cared for him.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, people don't understand. I understand that, you know, he got a lot of, you know, bitches, and, oh, a lot of girls have stories and stuff like that. I get it. But my thing is just as quick as people are to say, oh, she wasted 5 years, and it's like, yeah, but there was more to the story than just what people are deciding to put together. There's a reason why I tweak the fuck out. There's a reason why I'm mad as fuck. And it's not even that I'm mad as fuck. I'm just fed the fuck up. And I want it to be done. The only reason why I came out and even allowed that, I've did my Allure before. Okay? The first time I did my Allure, I left him out. The reason why I didn't leave him out of my Allure this time is because something very traumatic happened to me. And I needed to get that off my shoulders.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? And I needed to do it so I could really be done. I could really be like, you know what? Because my thing is, when girls stay silent, they stay silent because they plan to go back. You plan to go back. I don't plan to go back. So for me, it was, fuck you. Let me remind you of all the shit that I have been through dealing with you.
Right.
And really get you to understand, I'm done. I'm done playing cat and mouse. I'm done playing toxic. I'm done. The only reason why I put that in my story is because I made a decision for myself that I'm done with it.
Yes.
If I wasn't done, y'all would have never heard none of this. So it's like, even when my comments are, oh, they'll be back together. No, the fuck we won't. Because I really got to that point of...
You've had enough.
I've had enough. And it might have took me 5 years.
And for some women, it takes them 15 and 20.
There's bitches out here that have been in relationships for 5 years and literally... is still sitting there in them, waiting on a ring, waiting on a something, just waiting on anything. What I could say is that with me being around that man and dating that man, not only did it help me elevate my career, but I've elevated my life. I didn't just walk away with nothing.
Exactly.
I didn't just walk away with absolutely nothing. But I am going to get the most out of everything that's ever happened in my life, any situation I've ever dealt with, anybody that's ever did me wrong. I'm going to use my life story and make sure that people can either learn from it or at least understand me for the full story.
Yes, not just their perception online.
Exactly, because that's the thing is online, one perception that I really hate is, oh, he got her this or he did this. One thing about it, I already had a support system from my weight loss. That man didn't even know me when I was going through my weight loss. Didn't nobody build Gorgeous Doll but Gorgeous Doll.
Exactly.
I built this girl from the ground up. Everything about her. You get what I'm saying? If I was to give him any motherfucking thing about me, I would give him the all white nails, which I don't even do no more. Other than that, I built every single part of myself. And I don't want that to be taken or given to any man, women, nobody. Because I put in a lot of time to be this and to make this from where I was, you know?
Right.
And that's pretty much like how I feel about it in a whole. It's just like, don't take my hard work and what I've did and give it to somebody else. You know, because even he feels that way too. And it's like, one thing about it, anytime we ever took a break, anytime we ever stopped talking, I elevated without you.
And mind you, if he made you, make another one.
Make another one. Literally. And that's another thing. Make another one. If you can make another gorgeous doll, if you made me, make another one. At the end of the day, you can't, because I have my own personality, my own brain, I'm different, and you could tell that. And I didn't become different by a man.
Right.
You know? And so that was kind of like one of the things that bothered me the most is don't take my legacy and what I've built and give it to no man. And that's just...
Your success should never be tied to a man. And I thank you for being vulnerable here and being honest about your story, because whether you know it or not, you're touching so many women, even just from your friendships to your situation with Magic City to, you know, standing up for the fact that they were stealing, to your relationship with, you know, with the past. I feel like a lot of people need to hear this. And so many people have these false narratives that they're coming up with, pulling out of their ass. But I appreciate you sharing your story, because so many people have these false narratives of what they think is happening, what they think has gone on, and you have not gotten to tell your story in your own words outside of your lore, and that page is gone.
And that's the thing, is if this was about clout, you know how many interviews I would have been did? This wasn't about clout. I wouldn't even take interviews, because at the end of the day, I don't want nobody to take my situation and turn it into something it's not. That's why I said, okay, let me create a podcast. Let me create my own way to talk about my own shit, because they're going to twist whatever I say to be whatever they want it to be. Whatever makes it more juicy, you know? As it's where me on my own platform, I can control this narrative and control that this is genuinely how I feel and what I say, you know? And for me... it was just, if this was about clout, I would have been on every podcast that has emailed me or called me. I would have been talking about this everywhere. But that's not what this was for me. This was closure.
Yes.
That's all this was for me, was closure. But I wasn't going out without a bang.
Oh, of course.
But I told him that.
Well, as we're wrapping up the show, do you have anything you want to say to fans as to what they can expect on Storytime with Gorgeous Doll?
So with Storytime with Gorgeous Doll, I think that what you guys should know is coming up is plenty of story times, okay? Plenty of hot topics, plenty of women, men, parents, anything that fits in within my personal niche that I already talk about. I want to give people the open floor. A lot of people who go on these platforms and do their story times get dragged.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is I feel like I could provide a safe space or environment to where you don't got to worry about that, because I'm already coming with my own support system. And as you can see, they do not play about me. So for me, it's like I'm reaching a point where I can, you know, make sure that you get that same respect when you're communicating what you've been through. And yeah, I just really hope that, you know, people see that this life isn't just all amazing and biscuits and gravy. It's messy, but it's raw and it's real, and the world deserves to hear about it. I am the better person to tell y'all about all of it, because it's a lot, and there's not another me. And this time and this part of our lives, there's nobody out here talking about the things that I'm willing to talk about. And granted, a lot of people are going to try to shut me up, but you can't. I'm not going nowhere, you know? So I feel like they have a lot to look forward to. And I don't want this to just be a celebrity podcast.
Right.
I want there to be real people, you know? I want the unheard of, you know? I don't want just the BBL bitches. I want the plus size, the regular size. I want everybody that has a story to tell, that, you know, they just feel like they couldn't do it on their own, you know? And I just want it to be that.
Yes, the untold with Gorgeous Doll.
Yeah,
Storytime with Gorgeous Doll.
Might have to put like an extra name on there, like the Untold with Gorgeous Doll, Storytime with Gorgeous Doll. It'll be, listen, anything with Gorgeous Doll. I'm listening, and you're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna help you get through it. Period. Point blank. But I feel like where I'm gonna start mostly is, you know, of course me, but also I want to focus in on the nightlife.
Yes.
I want to focus in on the girls who don't get the respect they deserve because of their job. You know, I want to focus in on the girls that nobody cares to really listen to.
Yes.
You know, and that's how I felt at one point. And that's why, even if we go back to this Magic situation, they hadn't said anything to me in over a year and a half until I got a platform, until the public opinion started agreeing with me. Now they're trying their best to shut me up.
And it won't work.
But you have to look at it like this. The world and the people who are in the world have the ability to change it. Mm-hmm. Because if I didn't have the support that I had right now, mm-hmm. would anybody even be hearing about this?
Right.
Would anybody even know about anything going on? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I feel like with everybody in my life, with my team, mm-hmm. with, you know, just the knowledge that I have, I'm going to be able to execute something amazing.
Yes. Thank you all so much for watching Storytime with Gorgeous Doll. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we will see you all next time.
Bye, guys.